Welcome everybody. It's so nice to see you all here, and I hope very soon we'll all be in a room together and able to go for a drink and socialise a little bit afterwards. I'm going to talk for about maybe a bit under 15 minutes. And what I'm going to try to do is to lift the veil a little bit on what the challenges are that the RSA's board have been juggling during the year, and how, looking forward, our development plan is going to try and address some of those challenges. Alex, could you screen share for me, please? So those of you that know me know that I'm really interested in sport. I used to be a competitive canoeist. I then competed cycling. I'm a leisure cyclist now, but for a bit of fun, and because it's late afternoon in most parts of the world where people are, we're using a loose sporting metaphor. So I've called the presentation "The RSA Running Its Own Race." Thanks very much, Alex. So to contextualise what I'm going to talk about, we have a picture of the unhappy hurdlers failing to get off the mark very efficiently. And it's meant to be a metaphor for the challenges that the RSA has faced. Now, I talked about some of these last year, and that recording is available on the website if you want more information or to recap on it. Some of them haven't changed. So the first challenge that we're facing is perhaps financially the most serious one for the association, which is the paradigm shift in publishing towards open access. So journal publishing contributes very significantly to the RSA's finances, and it's absolutely key to the research funding programme that we run. Over time, we know that open access will start leading to lower receipts for the RSA. It may also, and worryingly, lead to some restriction in author choice in where they're able to publish their research. And I'll say something about that in a minute. The second key problem for the RSA is around value-added tax. In 2010, the European Union made a decision about the change in the place of supply for VAT purposes. So really technical and quite uninteresting. The impact of it is that the association has to register for VAT in the European countries where we now run events. And the problem with that is that it's extremely expensive to do that. Our events are more or less costed to break even. Our large events will contribute a little bit towards the association's finances, but we try and suppress the fee. Now with this VAT ruling, we're really struggling to cover our costs on events. So we need to be imaginative about how we continue to run those events going forward. Another problem, one we're all only too familiar with, is COVID. COVID has stalled all conferences and events basically for 2 years, and I'll revisit it. Climate change is the fourth area. Climate change being discussed at the COP26 in Glasgow at the moment. RSA is taking it seriously. Tomorrow the board will be having a detailed discussion about our climate change response, looking not only at climate change, but at our other community and social responsibilities. And finally, a challenge for us has been Brexit. So I'm putting that now into the past tense because in 2017, the board were quick to open RSA Europe, a private foundation in Brussels. And it's clear as time passes that RSA Europe is able to assist us in operating in Europe. It's an organisation that's growing in strength and reputation. So I think Brexit, we can probably move beyond that as a problem for the association. So before I move on, I just want to remind you what the RSA is. So we're an international learned society, and that makes us unusual because most learned societies are national. We're values-led. So our values are to be a leading and impactful community. And if you come to our conferences, our values are printed on our lanyards, they're on posters, so they're everywhere, and we try to live those values. We have sought to be the friendliest society. the one where that is the most diverse, the most inclusive, the most welcoming, so that people really feel they're in their natural home. And I hope that some of that feeling comes across to you as members. We have a reputation, I think, for effectiveness. I hope we are building a reputation for listening and learning. And what I'm about to talk to you about in the development plan, we're going to email the draft to you when the board finishes discussing it tomorrow. And I hope that you will read it when it lands in your intro, and I hope that you will share your thoughts back with us before we redraft it and then publish it next year. Now, I can't cover everything, but I'm just going to pick some highlights and some interesting elements. Alex, next slide, please. So member well-being, bending over backwards for the members. So it's an English expression, bending over backwards. It means doing your best, trying your hardest, doing everything you can to help. We have asked members collectively and individually and in focus groups what it is that they value about membership. And the thing that comes across really clearly every time is networking, feeling part of a community, knowing that there are other people interested in what they're doing, so on. So one of the key things that we're doing now is working with a company called RD Mobile, who developed the app that we launched in 2020 called RSA Hub. So if you haven't downloaded it, visit your app store, RSA Hub. And it's both our membership and conference and events app. In it, there is a conversation feature that is not well used by members, and it's a bit clunky. So we're working in partnership with the app providers to work on a solution that will make a real energetic and energized, accessible platform for members to do member-to-member communication without having to come through the office first, so making it much easier. And the team are really innovative. They're borrowing from online dating sites so that you can scan through people's profiles and research interests. There will be features like, if you like this person, you might also like this person, based again on keywords on research interests. So I hope that that will add value for you. We're also seeking to further develop our branches, sections and divisions. So at the moment, we have 4 divisions, 5 sections, 8 branches, 57 individual territory ambassadors. So we have an on-the-ground presence in 47 countries globally. So that's 47 countries are represented of the 80 countries in which we now have members. And that number has gone up during the COVID period as more people have been able to access us because we've been more visible virtually. We think that having a real on-the-ground network adds value to members, but I hope you will confirm that with me. Finally, we believe that the pandemic has had an uneven effect on researchers. So as part of our offering to membership, the board are commissioning some research, working in parallel with our publishing partners, Taylor and Francis, looking at patterns of article submission and article publishing in our 5 journals. So taking years before the pandemic and years during the pandemic, and then looking and seeing whether, particularly across genders, whether some sections have been able to get clear their desks of all the papers that have accumulated, and whether other people's careers have been potentially damaged. We will publish the results of that research if we find policy relevant findings from it. Thank you, Alex. So I'm talking now about our publications. We have our team of big hitters. I've never played baseball. I should perhaps have used a cricket picture instead. I've played a bit of cricket. As part of our support to our editors across all of our publications, so not just the journals, but also our regions e-zine, our fantastic blog, our book series, we will be investing in our editors and our editorial teams. And I think you will agree that it's right that we do that. This is largely unpaid work. We will continue and invest more heavily in promoting the work that we publish. It's a funny old thing, isn't it? You work for 6 months to a year to research and write up an article, submit it and get it published. it has to be worth a day or two of your time to promote that work, to ensure that it's read and it has the maximum impact. And as an association, we are seeking to help you do that. We've appointed digital editors now across all of our 5 journals, and we were looking to improve the digital support for our other publications. We're also powering up within the staff team to try and make a difference. And finally, on non-journal publications, we will be looking to increase our efforts around author and project commissioning to ensure that we see a very diverse authorship from many different geographies. So more active behind the scenes support for that. Alex, next slide, please. So deep diving, dreadful pun, sorry, I blame Suede, my colleague who helped me with the slides. Deep diving into journals. Journals, I think, are in some way the public face of the association. They're high quality, they're respected, they're interesting, and they reflect the breadth of interests that the members have through from spatial economic development through to territory politics governance. Again, we will be investing in our editors. We will also be investing in our referees. We're looking at launching a referee college, more on that early in the new year. Importantly, and addressing the open access challenge that I mentioned at the beginning, we will be working with our publishers and with some of the umbrella bodies to seek sustainable futures for our journals. So we can't stop the loss of income to the association, but we can do much to mitigate it, and we will be doing that. We have also come up with a plan that allows our authors to have choice, so nobody should be excluded from publishing in any of our journals. I can't give more details about that because we're in the final stages of negotiation with our publishers, but in the new year, hopefully we'll tell you how we will manage that challenge. We will continue experimenting. So our last 2 journal launches were Regional Studies, Regional Science, which is gold open access, and was an early start in social sciences for that. And then more recently, 5 years ago, Area Development and Policy, which looks at emerging economies. Both of those felt very risky and on the front of the wave when we launched them. Both have been incredibly successful. And finally, on journals, we're addressing climate change. You will have noticed that your journals, if you choose to take them in paper, they now come naked, no plastic covering. And you now also have the right to not to accept any of the journals. You can have them all online or all in print. It's entirely up to you. You have the choice. Next slide, please, Alex. So basketball, I was a netball player. My mother was a netball player. My son was a netball player. It used to just be for girls. It's for everybody now. But this is basketball. Regions in Recovery was a slam dunk. COVID stopped all events in their tracks, and the RSA cancelled so many events, and we refunded so many hundreds of thousands of pounds actually in income for conferences. We still don't know when normal service will return. We think some national events are now picking up, but international events really not so much. And I think in the hemisphere I'm in, the winter period could be very challenging. COVID has had effect on more than just closing conferences. In the short term, its impact on things like higher education institutions, student enrollment, means that many institutions are in economic hardship, and that's playing down to restrictions on funding for researchers to travel, both for health and safety reasons, but also because of the air miles and climate change. But in 2021, we ran a global e-festival. It was a huge success. It had 1,250 participants from 71 countries. We ran 125 sessions over a 2.5-week period. We had almost 500 speakers at that conference. Participants fed back to us that they liked the professionalism of the technical rehearsals. They liked the conference app and the fact they could log in on their phone, their iPad, or their computer, desktop. So yes, that was a great success, and it was wonderful because we saw so many new faces. It was free to anybody that just wanted to come and listen. Only the people that were presenting had to pay to attend, and the fee was I don't know, an eighth of the normal fee. Also, during the last 2 years, we've run 125 webinars. We've had 8,100 and something attendees at those events. Really big numbers for us from 71 countries. So although the pandemic stopped face-to-face meetings, we have been able to capitalize on the accessibility of virtual ones. So what about the future? The board are reviewing where we are with conferences tomorrow morning. I can share with you that going forward, we will seek to run hybrid and blended conferences where you can make the choice to attend face-to-face or to have a virtual participation. We need to test the technology for that. We will be a bit restricted by the venues on what's there that we can use, but we believe that we can do it, and we're certainly going to try. We will be innovative about our events, seeking new session formats, for example, and we're reinstating researcher-led program committees so that will help us to put up a more diverse plenary programs and special session programs with researchers from many more geographies. We need to grow the network that we draw on in order to deliver that promise. So some of you will get invitations to join these conference committees. We are looking at new models of organising our conferences, including franchising, and this will be a way of managing the VAT liabilities that currently we're subject to. More work is being done on that, but we're already having those conversations with our financial advisors. We've developed already an events service provision model where the RSA powers third-party events. So we've run events for some EU institutions, for some of our own research networks, and from some partnership organisations. So if you're running an event and you'd like us to help with the online provision, do reach out. We can't help everybody, but where we can, we definitely will. And we will retain our 2 very successful webinar programmes, the Regions and Cities programme, and also our professional development series. Next slide, please. So training and development, getting the ball rolling, football obviously. During COVID, the RSA pivoted some of its grant funding from research networks and travel grants to small grants on COVID-related themes. The board have decided today that we will do that for a further year. So there will be at least 1 more round of small grants for COVID-related research. We'll revisit this decision in November and see where we are in terms of COVID and face-to-face meetings in November. The research committee have said that they will remain receptive to more innovative, potentially even risky proposals. We offer micro grants, so and then people, researchers have the opportunity to test their ideas before they write in a kind of pilot project before they write a full proposal. The association will consider how to manage its carbon footprint tomorrow. One idea that's been proposed is that we work out our carbon footprint, and rather than carbon offsetting, which has a number of problems, we ring-fence funding to fund climate change related research by researchers in our field. I can share with you, and I am delighted to share with you, that total funding up to the end of 2020, so not this year, total number of grants, research grants awarded is now 212. We've spent £1 million, almost £100,000. We've supported research now in 33 different countries, and we will be coming to researchers in emerging economies and asking you how you would like us to support the work that you're doing and how we can get you more engaged in the research funding programs that the association offers. Next slide, please. So knowledge mobilisation and hurrying to make a difference. Our athlete is speeding along, and the RSA is also speeding along. A few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we launched the Policy Expo grants, £15,000 for policy-facing research that reaches across several territories with an output which is a short-form policy-facing book. published in our Policy Impact book series. We're just about to publish the 6th of these books, which will be a book picking up actually on John Agnew's presentation that just preceded mine on levelling up and so on. And it's a team led by Ron Martin from Cambridge University that have authored the book. And you should have that on your desks before Christmas. It's in the publishing process already. The board have strengthened its capacity on policy engagement, and I think that will be a very ongoing theme for the next 5 years of the development plan. Next slide, penultimate slide, you'll be happy to know. I think, actually, can you go past that one, please? The future, a team effort. So we have loyal members. It will depend on a team effort to get us through some of the challenges that we face. So we're relying on our loyal members. We have a skilled and committed board and committees. We're really grateful to the people that have been elected and are serving on those boards and committees. Your strategic leadership and direction is absolutely critical to the association and to its members. My colleagues, I must pay tribute to my colleagues. They're qualified, they're hardworking, and I think they're really imaginative in facing the challenges that we have. Critically, I think we have long-term respectful relationships with our partners and our suppliers. And I must mention and thank Taylor and Francis Routledge. We've published with them for a very long time, and we've done it because it's a relationship that really works, and they've been very supportive. So although we face some quite tricky challenges, we remain with an optimistic outlook. We're seeking to adapt to our changing situation, but to continue our work. And the last slide, please, Alex. So thank you for listening. I've got finally a cycling photograph up, sadly not me. I hope that you will enjoy reading the draft development plan when it lands in your email in tray. And I do really encourage you to have a look at it and to send me your feedback. We will take that into account. We'll redraft and then we'll publish early in the new year. Thank you very much indeed.